Let me try part one of it. I think firstly, great timing for the event because we are going live fully all India this month in one of our businesses, and like in everything you go step by step. If I'm not mistaken, I think we started our conversations over the last 6 months, but the bulk of the work has happened in the last 3 to 4 months where, right from the start. And I think from our lens, the reason for taking the initial investment was to, not so much the implementation, very often that's the easier part, but making sure that this is not just an opportunity for us to simply say, let us change our loan origination system or let us do our front end differently. It's a great opportunity for us to say, थोड़ा re-engineer करते हैं as far as the customer experience is concerned, right from the time whether you are a new customer wanting to become one with us as a loan originator, or you're an existing customer and we can serve you better. So this is touching all of these points.
And what were the challenges?
So again, staying with that, thankfully we have, part one of the problem statement, jo aap keh rahe ho, that's not an issue because this is not about, the promise of this is not about we can do without you. The promise is we can take a lot of the needless work that you do. So I'll give you a couple of examples where this helps, and it's still work in progress. So, everything needs a little bit of work if you're used to any system. I mean, if you're used to a certain newspaper also, if your newspaper changes, it takes a week to figure out which story is where. So I think we haven't had much resistance on this because there is a clear why as an organization we're doing this is clear to everyone. In fact, it has a lot of support. If you turn behind, you'll see in the room we have most of the key people in our company that have led the project teams. And the reason for not having the resistance is very clearly the team is involved in why are we doing this. I'll give you a few examples of what is the intended benefit. Today, you often have to look at 4 different places to access data for a customer. Suppose you apply for a loan. The bureau score comes from somewhere, some other thing comes from one system, 4 places. You have to toggle between 4 screens. So it will take you, let's say, if it takes you an hour to go, to complete an application, just all of the screens, we should now take 15 minutes or thereabouts. We should basically be able to cut it by 1/4. And it's your personal labor that's going to go down. So in summary, I think we have actually a lot of optimism. The greater challenge is for us. That's why as a team, we're always chewing the brains of the teams at Salesforce and Deloitte saying, hurry up, please, jaldi karo, can we do it faster? I think the anticipation is we can make lives much easier. That said, like every system, it needs for us as management, and it's a lesson, I guess, in anyone executing anything large at a time, where why we are doing it is clear to everyone. Goals are measurable, that every month we should see progress. And I think at the heart of it, that assurance that this is to enhance your productivity. And as we grow, you should be able to do more with less as a person. And last but not least, it is an important move forward. So, make the adjustments that you do need to make so that we can get ready for it.
I wanted to add on to this question, and I know this is a question that frequently comes. Is AI coming for your job? Okay, it's a question that frequently comes, and I think we need to address the elephant in the room in respect of that. First and foremost, let me tell you, AI is a blessing for a country like India, because India has a very large population, and you cannot give the services that our citizens deserve if you don't use technology. You just cannot give it. Look at the kind of pedagogy that goes on in the village schools. Do they have the right kind of stuff to study? Look at the kind of health services that is available in remote areas. Are you able to give the right kind of health services without technology? Look at even financial inclusion, like he said. 14 years from before Jan Dhan Yojana, I know how much hard we tried to bring about financial inclusion. Wasn't possible till technology came and made it possible. It's separate that, Jandan Yojana was run like a project, monitored like a project. So we could get it done in as less as seven months. That's a separate issue. But if the enablers of technology had not been there, no way we could have done. The main enabler of a bank account is what? It's know your customer, KYC. I need to know that you are you. That Arundhati Bhattacharya is only me, not another Arundhati Bhattacharya, not an A Bhattacharya, not a Arundhati B. It is only me. And how do you do that? With biometrics, because those cannot be replicated. So the fact that we are able to establish who you are is what enabled us to open all of those banking accounts. Okay? Once the bank account opens, what happens? You also put in other systems in order to enable digital payments. So the fellow who's a panwala at the corner, he has a QR code. You take a pan, you pay with the QR code, don't need to use cash. What happens to that? That panwala is now able to establish that he's making 10,000 a month. The moment he's able to establish that because this money is going to his front bank account, some NBFC or bank becomes interested in giving him a loan, which he was in any case taking, but from somebody who was charging a usurious rate of interest. So his margin was going towards paying interest. Instead of that, he gets it from the organized system at a much lower interest rate. An interest rate can be as much as 120% or 360% also. It can be tremendously high. Okay, on a daily basis, you give interest. Here, you are getting it at 6, 7, 8%. What happens then? His margin remains with him. He is able to make his shop bigger. He is able to help his son set up another shop. So actually speaking, the standards of living go up. So was this technology a bad thing or a good thing? Did it create more jobs or did it create less jobs? There are so many unfulfilled requirements that we have. We cannot fulfill those requirements if we don't use technology. So the nature of jobs will change. Like he said, horses were being bred in order to draw carts. Today, horses are being bred in order to teach people riding. And riding, by the way, is one of the best exercises that you can have. The first time if you have ever ridden a horse, you'll pain in places you didn't know exist. Okay, so it's really exercising you if you go for that. So horses are being trained for that. Horses are being trained for entertainment, for races, for becoming pets, for various things. Okay, so the jobs also change. The nature of the jobs change. When you bring in technology, you unlock efficiency, you unlock unmet demands. Those demands then go on to create jobs. So there is no doubt of it that the nature of jobs will change. Will there be less jobs? I don't believe so. Will our standards of living go down? I don't believe so. Every single industrial revolution has posed the same question. When actually the first train chugged across the horizon for people, people said all our jobs are gone. Okay? Has it really gone? It hasn't gone. In every which way it has improved. Every way that you think possible it's much, much better. There was a time, by the way, in State Bank of India, and I was in foreign department then, when we used to reconcile what is called Nostra accounts and Vostra accounts. These are accounts that are created for currencies. Okay, so I couldn't have a dollar account here. I have a dollar account, and the mirror of that is called a Vostra account, which I have over here. So I just reconcile the nominal entries that come in over there against the actual entries that are happening there. So I have a shadow thing to make sure that I'm getting everything. We used to have in foreign department something called a TIC 20 brigade. TIC 20 was, by the way, at that point of time a pesticide. But we used to call it that because they used to sit with 20 colored pencils. So Citibank, red pencil. This is my account, this is their account, and I tick it off. Okay, so Bank of America, blue pencil. Some other bank, Bank of Mitsubishi, green pencil, whatever it is. So they used to sit with these pencils and do it. What was the end result? Hundreds and hundreds of unreconciled entries. The first time I got into technology is when I implemented the platform for reconciling these. It was a platform, IT platform, that reconciled automatically and only threw up the exceptions. Now you may say, why is reconciliation so difficult? There are lots of reasons. I might put a reference number, they might put something else. I might have asked for $100, they may have sent me only 95 after cutting their charges. Very difficult to reconcile one with the other. But a platform enables them to look at all the parameters and find the right ones and pick it off. Now that was possible only because we brought in technology. So to be afraid of technology, that it's about to take my job, is a very, very limited point of view. It's a very nearsighted point of view. Does transition cause pain? Yes, it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. People really need to think of other things that they can do. But at the end of the day, this is something that's going to benefit all of us. We need to lean into this instead of resisting it. It's like a wave. You resist it, it will overcome you. You lean into it, you ride on the wave. That's what we need to do. So I want to put this question to the rest, that, it's coming for my job, what the hell will I do? There will be other jobs for you to do. And you will be able to fulfill your potential much more in what you are going to do, because it's going to interest you more, and that's why you've taken it up. So let me answer the first piece, and you can take the details. See, the first thing you have to understand is that if you start with ROI, it's very difficult to then proceed. You should start with qualitative parameters first. The ROI will automatically follow. A lot, what should I say, a really scholarly person once told me when I got into the bank, that do the right things, don't look at your market share price. The share price will follow if you're doing the right things. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, investments or returns, which should come first? It's a chicken and egg problem. Okay? You have to decide what you need to do. But again, as I said, this is something that every individual organization needs to answer for itself. Is this the time or is it not? Why are we doing this? This is not the first partnership. We have a number of partnerships in India. But we believe that Godrej is a bellwether group. It's a legacy group, and we want to showcase that even a legacy group has really and truly come forward with this. So we want to show that, groups like Godrej that have been household words, ever since we were children. One of the first things we realized was the Godrej Almeida, which remains the way it is, by the way. Okay, and then came various other things from Godrej, from the House of Godrej. They also have evolved in whatever they are doing. And, partnering with a legacy conglomerate like them, who are on a journey to the new future, is, I think, very good. And one of the reasons is we wanted to come together on this platform because we feel that this is something that sort of, indicates that yes, this is something that's necessary. Even a group, established group like Godrej, they could have just, sat on what they have, the legacy they have, but they refuse to do that, and that's why they continue to be relevant. Because they are doing that, they continue to be relevant. So that's that piece of it. Regarding how he talked about the milestone and the stuff, definitely Manish, you should answer that. And maybe on the milestone piece, you can also add the Ashwin.
So, I think the ROI question is a tough one. I'm going to try and answer it slightly differently. The second question, which is just what would we be doing before this? Actually, we already had started with the Salesforce CRM, so it's not replacing, it's adding to it. On the ROI,
From going and shopping to getting home delivery to quick commerce today, right? So the expectation of a consumer has changed from having to wait for some time to quick, right? So, and the more you enable quick, and that quick could be a bit different for different industries, but all I'm saying is the more you enable quick, the better the experience you give to your potential customers, and hence they end up becoming your customers. So I think that is something that you really cannot put a dollar on. It's the experience, and that actually adds to your dollar eventually, because that's how you kind of grow, right? So
we are in the 60%. And we have people.
So, which is why I said, you have to be very careful about the use cases that you take. You have 15 requirements. You need to prioritize which ones are the ones that will make a real difference to your customers and to your goals. Okay? Once you have got those two use cases, you'll surely be in the 60%. But if you start doing everything, means AI is not a magic wand. you wave it and everything starts happening. It's not like that. Neither is it something to be scared of. It's neither of the two. But you need to work at it and you need to get there. But if you work at it properly and if you do it for the right purposes, you will 100% be in that 60%. Now, a 40-60 ratio, is it worth taking a risk on? If you do it with a proper understanding, it is. If you do it without understanding, it won't be. And that is true in any new case. Any new case you see, any new things that come up, some things succeed, some things don't. If you remember the dot-com bust, at that point of time, like everybody was going dot-com. And then what happened? The pendulum swung to the other end. Everything busted. And then what happened? Slowly, it crept up in you. Today, like he says, it's the quick word. There is nowhere, no company that doesn't have its own website and doesn't sell offline. Okay? So the thing is like this, you have to allow things to mature, you have to be thoughtful about it, you have to be strategic about it, and then you go ahead. So therefore, it does need, a lot of planning, a lot of understanding of what it can do and what it can do well. Like he said, if I'm able to improve my conversation quality every time I get that person, or that person gives me a call and then wants to continue the conversation at the counter, or wants to do the conversation now with a chatbot, that particular piece of conversation he's already done should be available to all the rest, so that he doesn't have to repeat himself. What does it do? It improves the customer's confidence in you. It enables the customer to see you as a person who's recognizing the customer as customer A. And the third thing it does is it saves time. So the persons having the conversations are actually saving time. That time then goes into another conversation, which otherwise they would not have been able to do. So you have to understand what are the use cases in your organization that is most suitable and will give you most mileage. And if you do that, that's fine. And if you don't do it thoughtfully enough, then yes, it might fail. But believe me, failure teaches you better lessons than success sometimes does. All of us have had moments of failure in our lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are. Now, have we allowed that to get us down? No. We have learned our lessons and stood up again and gone ahead and just made sure that we don't make the same mistake. So failures will happen. It happens in every process. But that doesn't mean that you give up on it.
Yeah, I guess